So hello and welcome to the final conversation of Season 7 of the Mundane to Magical Online Summit series. My name is Louise Matson, and as always, I am truly blessed to be your host. Now today, I'm really excited to welcome our final brand new speaker to the summit, Kari Walters. I love doing these summits, and one of the reasons for that is because Spirit guides me to so many new and wonderful speakers and light workers, and then I get to share them with you, the wonderful audience of the Mundane to Magical community. Today's new speaker is one of those blessed synchronistic connections. Kari has been on a spiritual path since she was a child. She's a seer to her Shamanic Druidic community, using a shamanic drum to journey for over 20 years. Kari is both an experienced therapeutic counsellor and qualified breathwork facilitator. And before the days of COVID, she ran a women's circle, creating a safe space of openness and sisterhood within her local community. Now today, Kari's work, as with many of us, has changed into an online facilitator, using both breathwork and her counselling skills to promote self-discovery, healing, and acceptance within her clients. Now, the topic for today's conversation is Journey of the Heart. Now, the power of breathwork has come more into my awareness over the past few years as I've traversed along a more embodied aspect of my own spiritual journey. Spirit's been telling me for years that our breath is a physical representation of our eternal connection to Source. But the only way that I'd connected with that really consciously was through yoga practice, over 30 years of yoga practice, and more recently with Kundalini yoga practice, which brought a different form of breath work into my practice. But I hadn't experienced a pure breathwork session until about a year ago when I joined a free online breathwork retreat. And I connected with Kari and her work through another breathwork retreat run by the Academy of Breath. And I absolutely loved the guided breathwork session that she took us through. I feel truly blessed to share this exact breathwork journey, as Kari is offering this as her free gift for you all to enjoy and connect with. So it's my absolute pleasure and honour to welcome you to the show, Kari.
Well, thank you very much. And it's an honour to be here as well. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Well, there's a little bit of a delay on the video, but...
there is. Do you want me to turn it off?
If we turn the video off.
Is that all right? Okay.
Just so that we can kind of like maximise...
Is that for you? Is that better? Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, I get to see myself hugely, but, you know...
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So if we just want to start really, as you are new to the summit, to share a little bit more about your journey connecting into breathwork, and then weave into that what it is about, you know, how it might differ from other breathing techniques that people may have come across during meditation or yoga practice.
So I came across very first time, it was during the first lockdown of COVID. So that would have been, I think, about April 2020. And I just happened to come past it on Facebook, and I thought, oh, I'll give that a go. So I did it. And to begin with, I was a little bit apprehensive about it. It was, oh my goodness, what's it going to do? What's it going to do? So I couldn't really let go fully, but I started to manage to do it. And then I was like, my goodness, this is such a beautiful medicine. It was like I experienced being held, I experienced unconditional love, I experienced releasing a lot of trauma. Like you say, it's all about getting back into the body, because we're so much in our heads nowadays. And it's almost like society, our culture, you know, it's doing everything to get us out of our bodies and just into our heads. So yeah, so I came across it like that. And then it took me about a year later, and I had this bug, I've got to become a facilitator. And it wouldn't go away. So I did. And it took me on a 8-month journey with the alchemy of breath. Becoming a facilitator. And yeah, I just think it's a beautiful easy. Well, maybe not easy, but it's a drug-free, I suppose, or a medicine-free, however you want to look at it, way of going right there as far as spirit.
Oh, you've just cut out again, Kari.
Self. Oh no.
We got far as a drug-free way of connecting to spirit.
Yes. Oh.
Just to let everyone know, we've had to switch Kari's video off because of the choppy
I'm so sorry.
connection. Yeah. So if anybody's thinking, is it just me? It's not you.
No, it's every time I do something public, I always have difficulty with internet. I don't know why.
So you were talking about how breath work, although it's not an easy journey, particularly to do the training to be a breathwork facilitator, is kind of like a drug-free. I know people, go through kind of plant spirit medicine and things like that to connect with spirit, but you've managed to connect in and do quite a lot of major healing work with breathwork.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's a real... it's on, when you say you experience an emotion, and sometimes you kind of, it takes your breath away, doesn't it? And you freeze up and you won't let go of that energy. Well, with breath work, when you've got an open mouth, you've got a choice. And it's like a vulnerability as well. You can't freeze up. You've got to let it, or the opportunity is there to let go. If you can possibly surrender yourself to it, just let go, and it's a real opportunity. And so to get rid of that energy.
So with the breathwork that you're describing in the journey that you've provided as a free gift, and also with the breathwork that you facilitate, is it open mouth breathing?
Yes, it's the consciously connected breath is what we use, and that's open mouthed. And it's kind of like you breathe in. You don't want to breathe in so you're kind of like really forcing it or anything, but you just breathe in and you let go, and there's no in between the breath either. So it's connected, and you want to go around, but you never force it. It's not one of these breath works like the holotropic where you force things. You don't really go into it. It's not like that. You just, or you can do as gentle as you like, because it will release, and you don't need to force things. It's all this kind of macho stuff where we've got to power into it. It's not like that. Sometimes the gentleness will serve just as well. So yeah.
One of the things that I really loved about our connection when I first connected with your work was that particular journey, the journey of the heart.
Yeah.
So do you want to speak more to how breathwork can assist us to release and to journey, into the heart, where we have all in some way, shape or form got some wounds that we're holding on to, and walls that we've built up around ourselves to protect our heart energy, our heart field.
So shall I tell you how breathwork works?
Absolutely.
How we can kind of experience ourselves in getting away from the thoughts, but we can kind of go inward. So breathwork, when we're breathing, we're basically saturating the body with oxygen. Okay. And this might be surprising to some people, but there's an exchange of carbon dioxide with your oxygen. So as your carbon dioxide is going down, you can't, it's kind of like the blood carries the oxygen, the carbon is asking for, in the cells, is asking for oxygen. So there's like an exchange. So more or less what I'm saying is that you actually experience 40% less oxygen to the front of the brain, and tightens the brain down. I mean, you also, you've got another 60%, you've still got another 60% that's oxygen.
Oh, you cut out again.
Oh, am I back? Oh.
So you've said that
Yeah.
we've got 60% oxygen.
Yes. So it's an exchange between the two gases, and they more or less have to balance each other out. So when you get a lot of oxygen, it means that you can't exchange the gases. So you get less oxygen to the brain, which opens you up to quieten the mind. It opens you up to new thoughts, to spiritual experiences, to visions, to trauma. Actually, what's going on is just your thoughts are being quietened, and that's basically what's going on when you saturate your body with a lot of oxygen. Breathwork also plays on your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. So when you're breathing, to begin with the breathwork, you're kind of, when I talk about we're now climbing a mountain and we want to pick up the pace, only if you can sort of thing, but when we pick up the pace, now we're playing on our sympathetic nervous system. And that's the part of the fight or flight. It can be quite kind of activating, we would call it. You know, if you are feeling kind of anxious, then you probably wouldn't want to really pick up the pace. It's only if you're in a good place that you would do that. So it can be as gentle or as energetic as you like, you know. You have to really just follow what's good for you, you know. So it plays on that, and then you climb the mountain and then you kind of relax it, and this would play on the parasympathetic nervous system. But after doing a lot of breath work, you find that your stress levels balance, they go down a bit. And it's like you can react to stress and then you can come away from it. You know what I mean? So it's more responsive to the actual environment. Do you get what I'm saying? It's kind of that it becomes into play, but you don't stay in an anxious place. You know, when there's a lot of stress factors in the environment, you can quickly come out of it, and that's what it does. It makes you I forget the word. There's a word to it with the heart. The heart's much more reactive, but this is a good thing because it means that when there's stress, then you can react to that stress, and then when it's a relaxing place, then you can relax rather than still being stressed. You know what I mean? So there's that with breath work, and sort of like,
sorry,
no worries.
I mean, I think one of the key things is that the majority of people, myself included, have been very much kind of built into the head, and the head controlling everything, and the head controlling our perception of things. And what I've found with a lot of the different spiritual practices that I've engaged in over the years is when we allow ourselves to drop into that heart space, and through breath work, this is what I feel that you're saying, is that, you know, when you connect in through the heart through breath work, that actually you come out of the head and you come more into a conscious in the moment experience, rather than the head, which can get kind of tied into and stay in a state even when the danger's passed, even when the stressor has gone. And so I kind of see it as being in that much more natural kind of in the now experience. And so that you can do that rise and fall. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, you become present, don't you? When you can go into yourself and also surrender a bit to life as well. I think it teaches you that actually, you know, spirit has got your back. And it may be that you have to experience pain. That's part of life as well. But that's an opportunity, isn't it, for growth?
Yeah, and that's
as painful as it is.
That's one of the things that I like about the breathwork session as well, because it's like with all spiritual work, it's not all going to be fluffy bunnies, love and light.
Not at all.
It is about, releasing trauma, releasing that which we've been holding on to, and being able to do that through the breath work. Yes, there may be times in a breath work session where it can get a bit kind of intense, where you're kind of connecting into whatever it is, that pain or that whatever, however it's showing out to you. But it is about, the whole process is releasing, it's letting it all go, and it's letting
Absolutely.
it
Yeah. It's about sort of freedom, isn't it? When we what's behind all that trauma, it frees that energy up.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing that I do want to make clear, and we've put it everywhere with
yes. Yes, we really have.
There are some contraindications to doing breath work, as with everything. If you go to the gym, they'll take you through a list of, make sure that you're in a fit state to do this kind of thing. So do you want to just cover the contraindications?
I will.
So that they are clear?
All right. So the following medical conditions, it is not to do breath work or this time, and they are the following. So it's heart failure, uncontrolled diabetes, thyroid conditions, detached retina or glaucoma, aneurysms, epilepsy, high blood pressure, diagnosed bipolar or schizophrenia, a sensitive pregnancy, or any other medical condition that this breathwork may adversely affect. Always check with your doctor if you're unsure. Please do. And always follow your instinct, your intuition. If something doesn't feel good, then don't do it. Sometimes we, depending on what that means, it doesn't feel good. Sometimes we need to push through when it doesn't feel good too. But if there's anything kind of medical, please check, look after yourself, people.
Because this is a consciously connected breath. There's no gap.
It is. That's right. No gaps in between. Or it can be the slightest little bit of gap, but not much. Yeah.
But one of the things that I do love, and I think that you do actually say it in the beginning of the free gift, which I would recommend, if you don't have any of the contraindications, that you do take advantage of. It's a 50-minute breathwork session, Journey of the Heart, which obviously you can repeat at any time. If you are feeling like, whoa, this is, I'm, stuff is coming up, this is a bit too much, or the breath itself, you're starting to feel a bit odd and it's not pleasant, then you can just go back to normal breathing, can't you?
You really can, and it will straighten itself out. Always ground yourself after a breath work as well. That's so important. If it's okay, if it's not muddy or anything, it's a great idea just to walk barefoot. That will really ground you. But always make sure that you're not driving straight away or operating heavy machinery or anything like that. Very important. Have something to eat as well. That's quite grounding. Yeah, always make sure.
Absolutely. So the title of the journey is Journey of the Heart. Is there anything that you want to share about why you chose this particular title?
Yeah. I had a vision, and that's where it came from. And I saw myself. It was like being a coming out of the density of the collective, and I was growing and growing, and it was so dense below me, swimming in this awfulness of the collective, and I rose above it. I chose not to be in it anymore. Came out, and it's a little bit like, I think you were talking about a similar thing the other day on one of your summits, kind of bursting through the clouds, and it was a sunny day, and I had that vision sort of thing of doing that, and that's where it came from, of going inwards, and also my own experience of breath work, of going inwards and experiencing such beauty. If you've never had unconditional love, I think this is the place you may experience that. or if you've never felt held by spirit, this may be the place where you may experience that. And just letting go and forgiveness and all those beautiful things, really, that you can do with this, and it's ready on tap. You can you can do it any place, anywhere. Well, nearly. I don't know if you're making those sounds. I don't know. It may not be, but yeah, it's just such a beautiful medicine. Like I say, it really does. And of course, you as a facilitator, we would always pick sort of like heart opening songs and things like that to inspire that journey. And we can do themes of the ancestors, we can do themes for women, and we try to inspire that journey.
And it is a journey. It's a journey that you take people on, particularly through the journey of the heart, free gift. And one thing that I actually really loved was the music that you chose, and the kind of the journey through the music in terms of the tempo and the words and things like that. There was so much. It was really rich to kind of connect in that way. So that was one of the beautiful things. I was going to say, actually, I mean, obviously, this is with this journey that you're doing. It's a conscious breath, and it's one where there is very little gap or no gap in between the in and the out breath, and it's open mouth breathing. Is this the only breath technique?
No, I mean there's lots, but it's the one that I've been trained in as a conscious. That's what the alchemy of breath teaches. I think there's loads of them. There's soma, there's rebirthing, there's holotropic. There's all kinds of breath work. The one that I was going to teach is the coherence breath. I thought I might give that to you guys. And this is kind of heart expanding, so I thought it'd go along with the theme. and it's all about once again, it's about balancing the nervous system, and do this once a day maybe, and see how you go with it, really. But it's an inhale for 5. So inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathing in and out of your heart. Imagine your heart, and with feelings of love and care. So kind of, and do this once a day and see how you go. But it's if you're feeling stressed, that's a really good, the coherence breath is a really good one. If ever you're in a place where you just need to steady. So there's one. And it's also meant to increase the expansion of your heart, kind of vibration. The energy of your heart is meant to expand for this. So I thought that would be a nice one to share. But there's all sorts of breath work.
Do you do the breathing through your nose, or is it always through your mouth?
Oh, it's no. With this one, it would be through your nose. Yeah.
So that's really good, actually. I think, that is something that I have done before. But anything to get us to expand our hearts, drop into our hearts, and I'm not sure if White Eagle Medicine Woman actually went through. But she does a breath work that is breathing into the heart as well.
Right.
And as you're breathing, visualizing yourself breathing into the front of the heart and out of the back, I think, and then into the back and out of the front. Side to side, up and down. There's lots of these different breathwork techniques all around kind of healing the heart, and I think it's a really good focus. I think it's probably where spirit is guiding many people through many different modalities to get people connecting into, as you say, the heart and letting yourselves go within.
And become friends with your breath as well. It's like become aware. That to me would be the best advice for people, is become aware of your breath. When you're stressed, become aware of your breath and slow it down. You can also read other people through their breath. What are they feeling like? You know, are they stressed? Are they feeling easy? Are they calm? Use it when you're walking. Become aware of your breath. Anything you do. But I mean, that's a great one. That one.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things years ago with breath work for me was also the realization of how many people shallow breathe.
Yes.
You know, literally just breathing from the top part of the torso, and not allowing the breath to come
absolutely
down into the body and fill us.
Yeah. And where do you breathe? From the top. How are you feeling? It's fight or flight, isn't it? That's where you're at. You're in a state of anxiety breathing like that.
So Jenny's just saying that she likes to make the shape of the heart with her arms in front as you inhale and close the bottom as you exhale.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So that's nice to bring movement in with the breath as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And
again, our hands, our arms, they're an extension of the heart field. They're an extension of our heart chakra, if you like, an energetic perspective. So bringing movement in as you're doing it is a beautiful way to connect.
Yeah, wonderful.
If anybody else has any questions, if you want to pop them into the Q&A box, or if you want to pop them into the chat, or raise your hand, and I'll bring you on so that you can ask questions directly. Feel free to, this is an interactive conversation as always. So if you have any questions that you want to put to Kari about breath work and about, heart healing, so again, I think, just let's go into a bit more heart healing work, and it may well be that it's connected completely to the breath work aspect, but it may be through your other work that you've got things that want to be shared around going inward within the heart and healing the heart.
I think you know what, guys, I think the main thing is just be grateful. I really do. It's that easy. Wake up in the morning and say, with gratitude, isn't it, to life, even though it can be pretty challenging sometimes. But there's always something to be grateful around, and I think that's the biggest heart-opening thing that you can possibly do. Breathwork's fantastic, beautiful medicine. But to go in, forgive, surrender, trust, all those lovely things. Just, playfulness. I always say to myself, come to life with play, not fear. Swap it over, and create your own environment, turn it, don't watch those nasty things on the TV. It's like, turn it off, go and plant your garden, go and think about the bees, go and heal your environment, heal those around you, be grateful, come with love, come with forgiveness, all those lovely things. But breath work is great too.
I think one of the key things is shifting your perspective on things. Breath, I mean, it's the one thing that every single one of us has taken for granted. And I think that the whole aspect of kind of seeing and connecting in with breath work it's a powerful tool. It is a powerful connection. We are a clear and perfect channel, and we receive and we digest, or we integrate that which we received, and then we radiate. And that is perfectly demonstrated, and that's what Spirit shares with me through breath.
Yes.
Physical connection that
absolutely that takes us straight to Spirit, our breath. Absolutely. And it's almost like we were created like that, isn't it? When we think about the breath, is the one thing that's both automatic and consciously done. And it's almost like it's an invitation, isn't it, for us to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember I was paralyzed in 96. That was a little nudge from the universe to stop me from going completely out of alignment with who I am and who I came here to be. And I was tetraplegic and I was C3, C4, so all I had was my breath.
Gosh, wow. Yeah.
Thankfully. But yeah, it was, laying there was nothing else that I could do other than be aware of my breath. So it was that which in a way kept me going, that connection to life, that connection to source. I was able to connect in consciously, spending all my day, because that's all I could do, and just receive and just be grateful for the fact that actually I was still
and no doubt you had no choice but to surrender to it either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have somebody with a hand up. That's just a telephone number, so I'm going to bring them on. If I can. No, it just says, oh no, there we go. God, you'd think after all this time I'd be okay at doing this.
I'm still grappling with it all. I really am.
So telephone number starting 123 or ending 378. I've given you permission to talk. If you want to unmute yourself, you've got your hand raised. No? Who's there? Not there?
Hello?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Can you tell us your name?
Okay, let me... Oh, wow. I'm not sure if you're able to help with this, but I honestly feel like in this moment, there's just a lot of fear and anxiety on the right side of my body. Yeah. And I was wondering if you're able to help clear that, possibly?
Fear and anxiety on the right hand, so that would be the left part of the brain, the intuition brain? Would that be coming into, needing to come into yourself?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually doing a lot of trauma work, a lot of trauma work.
Right.
Because that's,
Yeah.
If you're already doing a lot of trauma work, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. What's your name?
My name is Destiny.
Destiny. If
you're already doing a lot of trauma work, it may be that you're just feeling that bit of resistance. It's coming up that you're feeling some, because the right hand side is also the masculine aspect. It's the forward moving aspect. So there's
a lot of this doesn't feel like it's mine. It doesn't feel me. It doesn't feel, when I'm feeling this fear is not necessarily, I don't feel like it's mine.
No.
There's another aspect of again, clearing your field. So quite often people have quite open fields, and they're allowing in that which isn't them, taking on board the energy of the outer realm, and again allowing the release of that, again blowing anything out through your breath, that which you don't require, and also commanding sovereignty of your energetic space.
Okay, I thought I did that today, but okay, obviously not. All right.
Kari,
I think all healing takes time, isn't it? And sometimes we want a quick fix now sort of thing, but it just takes a moment. Be gentle with yourself, I would say. Look after yourself.
Yeah,
be gentle. Let's pull away from all this masculine energy. Look after yourself. Yeah. Be good to yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Destiny.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then we have lower the hand. And then we have Maria. I'll just let Maria come on. Do you unmute yourself, Maria?
Yeah, did I do it?
Yep, you did.
You have. Hello, Maria.
Good evening, Kari, and
Hi.
good evening, Louise. I have a specific question. I, in general, have breathing problems due to also lung problems. I have a lot of slime. And with my heart is not perfect, but I'm not going to see a doctor for that because I have to solve it in my way. So I do different breathing techniques. And now I noticed, since you started to talk, I just told myself, well, breathe consciously into your heart. I mean, you can. And and this happens quite often when I do conscious breathing, that then my heart sort of, or is it the breast part? I have a knot there also, starts to hurt.
No.
But it's not too bad. It's not that I'm going to collapse, or I just feel it, and it is like a little pain. So I wondered, maybe it's an opening, or I'm not afraid then, I just stay calm and breathe on. I mean, I was doing it very slowly now, You can give me some information on that.
Yeah, see, for me, Maria, I would say I'm so not medically trained, so
Yeah.
I really couldn't, but I would say it can only be a positive. Breathe, being conscious of your breath and breathing into your heart space can only be a very positive thing. As far as the other, I really couldn't say because I'm not medically trained. So
yeah, I'm not expecting you
to.
I know that, but
yeah.
And this hurt, it sometimes, I mean, I think it is also showing that I get connected with the part that hurts me.
Yeah, it
and
could
that
be.
there might be an opening, I mean, or
it could be.
letting go of, or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It does sound like it may be that resistance. Sometimes there are pains in places of trauma. So it could be very well. And I think it sounds as though you're using your intuition to what it is.
What do you mean by resistance? I mean, I had my walls and rings around my heart for many years, and I didn't go into my feelings, which due to my life situation. Do you mean when you talk about resistance, that it could be that I'm letting go, that I dive into my emotions more?
I think what I mean by resistance is like we have built up those walls, and they've been there for a purpose, haven't they? They've when you've had the trauma, you build up the walls to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And then when we get to a stage in our life where we want to break down those walls, because they're not really serving us after a while, are they? They're kind of, they're taking life away from us, really, aren't they? Because we can't experience fully our life of what it could be. So when we're breaking down those walls, there will be a little bit of resistance because the ego wants to keep us, it kept us safe this far. Now you're going to bring down the walls, but this is, so there is a little bit of push and pull with it. So that may be what you're feeling, is that resistance of not being able to, not surrendering just yet. Is it safe? Okay. Oh, isn't it safe? But I need to. But
yes. So maybe
it may be like that.
Letting go of the fear, what might come when I go deeper into it. I mean, this is coming now for me. Well, I think, I can feel it now.
Yeah.
I must say. I mean, thank you very much, Kari.
Well, thank you.
No, it's just I feel it, and I also must say that I feel my emotions more. The more I talk about it, the more I'm inclined to start crying.
And let them go. Let it go. let your tears, your cleansing tears, let them pour out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And rejoice in your tears.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Take care of yourself.
You too.
Oh, can't hear
you. Muted myself.
Okay.
When we start doing this work, even though there's an aspect of us that's obviously ready, obviously very willing to surrender and to let go, there is, what I've found on my journey, there is also an aspect of us, that egoic aspect that have built the walls in the first place, that wants to protect ourselves, that is still kind of holding on. It doesn't feel safe to fully let go of the emotions. And especially, I mean, I'm in my 50s, and I've been holding on to my emotions my whole life. And so many other people have as well. And so it's kind of like, even if there's a bigger part of you that's kind of ready to step in and release all of this past trauma, there's a lot of trauma from my childhood I've blocked out completely. So there is that element that when we start this process, there's going to be that resistance. There's going to be that push and pull within ourselves that initially we may not have been consciously aware of, because we have, and again, this is a protective mechanism, blocked out massive amounts of trauma that we've experienced in childhood that you wouldn't necessarily have thought was a traumatic experience, but actually was to the child that we were. So with the breath work, would you just suggest that people just go with what they're able to, and just, as it were, a bit like when you're at the gym, build up kind of gradually?
I don't know. It depends on where you're at, really. Sometimes I find that, because you breathe with different facilitators, and sometimes I find the really kind of gentle journeys are the most powerful. So it really doesn't have to be kind of like really energized or anything. It just depends on where you're at. And sometimes I find that I can breathe faster and deeper, and other times not so much. So I just think you just go with what you need. There's no right or wrong way of doing it either. As long as it's kind of like you breathe and then you let go, and there's no gaps in between. It doesn't matter how quickly you breathe or how deeply you breathe or anything like that. Just go with what you can. And allow the journey to, unravel.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, I'm coming back again to, the breath is the physical representation of our connection to our eternal self. And that aspect knows, so whatever you're being guided, just go with, if
absolutely.
you're being guided,
Absolutely.
Slow. If you want it fast,
that's right.
For a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can have just a powerful experience with a gentle breathing. Sometimes you need the gentleness, don't you, to experience,
Absolutely. I mean, saying that, actually, it's brought me back to a memory of doing yin yoga, which is very gentle in terms of, you're not getting into complex positions. However, it is again about opening up, and you hold the position. And literally I remember holding a position because I again, like many people, we store a lot of trauma in our pelvis, our hips. And I was just holding like an open leg position, and it was as far as my body could go. And I just, all of a sudden, because I was surrendering in, and just letting go, and I didn't even realize how tight my muscles had been holding on. I just burst out crying. And then all of a sudden it was as if an elastic band had just released, and and I was able to kind of like really stretch into that position so much more. So I honestly think, until we start doing it, we have absolutely no idea what we're holding on to.
Yeah.
Diana's,
So yeah, definitely.
Diana's put she believes that healing is a daily and ongoing thing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I think to put a little bit of magic into our life as well. Light a candle. Be grateful. I mean, whenever I do anything spiritual, I always call in the four quarters, the ancestors and my guides. I just like to, I don't know. It's so important, isn't it? That it's like there's so much nonsense going on in the world. There really is, in the fact that we're all kind of looking at our phones, and the telly's always blaring, and the computers and all the rest of it. We're so disconnected from what we truly are. We are these spiritual, heart-opening love creatures, really, aren't we? So it's so important to have a little bit of magic in our lives, have a little bit of ceremony. Yeah, put some salts in the bath, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're being called back to that work. So it comes back to the taking things for granted again for me, and we so often have taken so much of our existence here as a spiritual being, having a physical experience, and breath being one of those aspects, and just the simple act of lighting a candle and consciously breathing for a bit.
Absolutely.
You're bringing ceremony, ritual back into it. You're honouring the breath.
Yeah, definitely. But a daily practice, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Even if it was every other day, maybe. It depends on how disciplined you are. But definitely bring a bit of magic into your life, and bring those energies back into your life as well.
I mean, in terms of healing being a daily and ongoing thing, I think at the minute, where we are currently as a collective, it is. We only have to look at the collective, and we see that we are not living in a balanced and aligned world, energetic space. And so the process is always with ourselves, and the responsibility is always with ourselves. But we aren't just carrying the traumas and the woundings of this lifetime. We're carrying our ancestral traumas.
Absolutely.
We're carrying, the energy through from so many other lifetimes. So it feels as though, yes, it is a constant shedding process. It's a constant healing process.
Yeah.
And I know personally on my journey, I used to see it as kind of peeling the layers off the onions, like, oh my goodness, I'm going through this again. However, I do believe that everything is accelerating now. I think that, we're coming to a much, just as a channel and a conduit for energy healing in the work that I'm doing, so much work is able to be done in one session now that wasn't able to be done before. So yes, I feel there is still that ongoing aspect, but I also feel that it's ramping up. The energy is accelerating, and again, the more of us that do this work, it becomes that 100th monkey. It becomes that kind of tsunami of love that washes
well,
collective wounding.
It's like the ripple effect, isn't it? Rippling across. Absolutely. Because we need something, don't we?
Absolutely, which is why I think so many groups are sort of feeling the desire to come together. The Breathwork Academy is doing these free online retreats, and enabling people to connect into this work, and introducing this work to so many more people. It's just that another aspect of the work that we do with ourselves. We're assisting the collective cleansing and releasing the trauma. Maria's saying that the acceleration has to do with the Aquarian epoch we're entering. Uranus is light speed. Yeah, Uranus energy is really strong. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, and I know Maria is. So
okay.
She knows about this far more than I do. But
yeah,
Uranus energy is it's that transformational energy, a bit like Pluto, in that it turns things around very quickly. And yeah, people, we are heading into a different age. People say we're already started to cross over into the Aquarian age, but it lasts quite a long time, and so we're kind of in the beginning aspects of that. And I still feel that we've got the work to do to kind of clear the collective aspect of it, but on our own personal journeys. So 2,150 years, yes.
That's a long time. So we've got a lot of work, haven't we, with all these reincarnations going on?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, for me, it's kind of like not focusing on the amount of work that we've got to do or may yet to have to do, but to be open to, I suppose, as Diana's saying, do that little bit each day. And even if it is just lighting a candle and spending a few minutes on conscious breath work, it's something, you're doing something.
Or it could be just eating well, couldn't it? Choosing a salad or some fruit instead of, I don't know, Kentucky Fried Chicken, or you know what I mean. But that within itself can be kind of being grateful, isn't it? Healthy with your body and looking after yourself, and that's that within itself. Those choices. It's all about the little choices, isn't it, that we make. I always think, here in life we're going to suffer, but we can either suffer a lot or we can suffer less, isn't it? With those little choices. But that's how I always say that to my children. You know what? We're going to suffer. And it's all to do with that up in the head. It really is, though, isn't it? With having these little rituals and taking time out and doing the breathing and having a moment for breath work, just making a little bit more kind of magical, a little bit more special, less mundane. I mean, all those words that you use for your summit sort of thing, isn't it? It's taking away this mundaneness, because life can be, but when we tap into the magical, it really can open up. It's like, my goodness, what's out there, or what's in there. I think it's the time to come inwards, not outwards. We really need to come inwards. That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think as well, it's kind of that journey, again, shifting of perspective. This is what's coming through at the minute, is that shifting the perspective, that the journey inwards, again, doesn't necessarily have to, the healing journey doesn't have to be one of suffering, because actually when you go in, you find some beautiful gems within yourself, some aspects of yourself that have been buried, those aspects that were open to you when you were in childhood, and everything was magical, and you saw the world as a magical place, and all possibilities were open to you. And it's kind of connecting back to that, which is that kind of place of wonder and magic.
Yeah. And that can actually be in your shadow, can't it? These aspects of the magical, in the sense that that's all the stuff that you try and hide, isn't it? That you haven't claimed for yourself, that were unacceptable. That can be what's stored in your shadow. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad things. It can be the gifts that are there. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the conversation yesterday was all around fairies, and the conversation was full of fun and laughter, and you could really feel the fairy energy. But so many people lose track of their connection to those beings and that kind of energy from, when they step out of childhood, or you know, we have it kind of not beaten out of us, I suppose, but drilled into us that, you know, it's time to put away those childhood, you know, fantasies and things like that, and kind of step into the real world. Well, actually, the real world is quite grayscale and boring. And actually, do I want to live in this? Is this actually the real world? Or actually, was I in the real world? And now you've kind of made me step into this false matrix of dullness. And for me, it's like being able to go back in and recreate and connect, tap back into that magic.
Yes, absolutely.
But I was aware of as a child.
Yeah. Going into wild places and looking for the fairies. Lovely.
Or just your garden. That was you were saying, you know, your house has fairies, your garden, or your you know, if you live in a tower block, you know, the green spaces around you, your house itself, they have the elemental spirits, they have those energies there. And again, it's taking it for granted that, you know, it doesn't exist, when actually, if we just connect with the fact that it does, and we just need to open back up to that, and it's opening back up to that magic within ourselves.
Right. A wonderful thought though. Having fairies in the garden. Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they were playing with my hair all night.
Okay.
So they were definitely in my house.
Oh, that's lovely.
Is there anything else that you want to share? Is there anything else that's coming through around breath work, around journeying into the heart, about heart healing, before we bring the conversation to a close? If anybody has any other questions that they want to ask before we bring the conversation to a close?
I don't know. Is there anything else that I want to say? Just, live your life with an open heart, really, you know. And I suppose the biggest heart opening thing is to be grateful, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And breath work is a really beautiful thing. If you haven't done breath work and you have none of those counterindications, go for it, experience it. It's beautiful. But
I would say, even if you have got those contraindications, don't do the breath work. The breath work that's
conscious connected,
connected, but light a candle and become conscious of your breath.
Yeah, absolutely. Just becoming aware of your breath and breathing into your heart space is a magical act within itself. That's a heart opening act within itself.
Because that breath work that you explained, the breathing into the count of 5 and breathing out, that's what anybody can do. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think the other thing that was wanting to come through from my perspective is, as you do one thing, you do all things. So the more conscious that you become of something that we've all massively taken for granted, and there's no judgment in that, you know, it's what it's been. The more that we become conscious of one aspect, like you say, you can bring that conscious awareness into all the other aspects of your life, and then start making different choices of a higher guided nature, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, it does have a knock-on effect. It really does. I mean, I feel so much more at ease. Like the other day, I had a dentist. Now, previous to breath work, I would have had anxiety for about 3 days. And I just walked into the dentist office just like that. And I'm sure it has something to do with breath work, because it's just not, the anxiety is not there anymore, you know, at such a level. I really do feel it, this balance that's going on.
Absolutely.
I really do.
Excellent. Right. Okay. So there aren't any other questions that I can see. Nobody else has got their hand up. So, there's something. Diana's saying, with both of your experience, do you believe someone can experience a horrific physical trauma, such as an amputation, without any negative effects? This is very personal to me. Insist no negativity, but I have done so much healing myself from the experience as I spent 1.5 years away recovering from him. I see so clearly otherwise. Just trying to make sense of that, actually. Experience, do you believe someone can experience a horrific physical trauma such as an amputation without any negative effects? I would say, from the fact that we are in this body connected to an ego, which is connected to a personal identification, and we identify with the body, that anything that has caused an amputation to be required, it's not clear from this whether it's a medical procedure or whether it's an accident, that there will be trauma associated with whatever has led up to that being a requirement, or that experience, it was an accident, amputated at the scene. Okay, so there's going to be trauma. There's going to be trauma there.
Yeah.
There's going to be trauma held within the physical form. There's going to be trauma held within the emotional, mental layers as well. Now, that's not to say that that trauma can't be healed. And again, your perspective is very much linked to how you perceive the whole experience. But, however much, I've been doing spiritual work for many years, and, well, pretty much all of my life, but I am in this physical form. There is an aspect of me that's very connected to my ego still. I mean, as long as we're in this physical body, we will have that aspect. And so it's working with that. And it's then working to heal all of the emotions, all of the thought processes, and from my perspective, when I've had things along my journey, for example, being paralyzed, what was the lesson? What was the blessing? What was the gift? Being able to shift the perspective, not just seeing it as a negative, but I very truly believe along my journey, all things happen for a reason. I may not fully understand what the reason is within the moment, within the immediate, time frame following an incident, but there comes a point when we allow ourselves to connect in from a divine, lovingly neutral space, that we can gain blessings and lessons. I will say, honestly, hand on heart, all of the experiences that my ego thought as horrific in my life, I can look back on and say, I can take the lesson and the blessing and the gift from all of those. Mm-hmm. So that's what I have to share. Have you got anything that you would like to share with that, Kari?
Well, I've kind of gone a long life, and I've had my own plenty of traumas. I'm kind of looking back and doing the inner work. I mean, there's always stuff to heal, isn't there? It goes on and on. But I would say that everything was kind of perfect for what I needed to be on this soul journey. Mm. All the lessons that I've had, I've kind of like, yeah, but if I didn't have that lesson, I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be experiencing this now. So I look at, however horrific it is, I look at life as being perfect, however painful, to the soul's journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, no matter where we are within our spiritual growth, there's always a bigger picture.
Yeah.
That we may not have an awareness of in that moment. But it's being open to that awareness coming through and allowing that healing to take place. The healing is within ourselves. It's opening ourselves again, not allowing these, quite often with trauma, no matter whether it's mental, emotional or physical, we shut down, we close in, we build those walls, we become defensive. And one of the key things for me on my journey is I'm going to keep my heart open, no matter what it is I'm going through,
and also the acceptance of it. That to me has been key to mine, is to be able to let go, to be able to fully let go and forgive is to accept that for what it was, and the forgiveness to it, and just be in the moment, isn't it? Trying to be in the moment, stay within the moment of the here now, not ifs and buts, but what is. And I know it's a difficult thing because I still grapple with it myself, you know, and it's ongoing, isn't it? But I suppose we're all on a journey, aren't we? You know, to our healing.
Absolutely. I mean, Spirit gave me decades ago, it's not about the destination, it's the journey itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what a ride it is sometimes, isn't it?
Diana's just said that, you know, she agrees and is very grateful and a faithful person and does see the blessings in it, but is still very aware of the pain. I mean, I personally would say don't run away from the pain, you know, go into the pain, visit it, communicate with it, you know.
Yeah.
When I experience pain, I see it as an aspect of me that wants to be heard. And, you know, what do? We take painkillers, we try and numb the pain, we try and escape the pain. But shadow work is all about journeying into it and bringing that light to it and saying, hey, hello, what do you have to say to me? You know, what conversation do you want to have? What wants to be heard? Jenny's saying, is there a way to breathe into her feet because they're freezing?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think it's all about visualization, isn't it? This breathing into things. Visualize your feet and breathe into them. It's simple as that.
What I will add, Jenny, is if you did hear the conversation that we had with Raven yesterday about the elementals and the fairies, you know, we all have all of the elements within us. So breathe fire. You know, not necessarily do the breath of fire as in the Kundalini breath, but consciously breathe fire into your feet, you know, fill them with warmth and heat. Okay, so I'm just going to go through again what your free gift is. I mean, I don't know if you want to speak more to it, but you're providing this 50-minute breathwork session as your free gift.
Yeah.
Journey of the heart. So do you want to share just a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, well, I mean, it takes us on a journey of the heart, and we go inward to ourselves. It's like it was like a vision I had, and so it's about, for a little moment, we're actually experiencing what's going on in the collective. I'll take you there for a little moment, because I feel if we don't feel what's going on, how would we know it's going on? How could we do anything else? If we along with it and don't feel it and numb ourselves out like everybody else is doing, how can we change things? So I take you for a moment into that collective. I think it's called the Mad World, isn't it? That one track.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I ask you to kind of experience that, you know, just for a moment, and then we go inwards to a place. Yeah, it's just about coming into ourselves, and it's kind of like when you get taught how to facilitate. You get with the rhythms. Having done a lot of breath work myself, I know whereabouts you'll be as far as your journey. And then we go up, and it's about the collective, the tribe. We're all rising. It's like the rainbow warriors, and you know, we need to gather our strength, come into your power, and then it's the spaciousness, and that's the bit where you're being held and loved. And so yeah, there's kind of like a rhythm, a pattern to these journeys. So it's all about kind of, first we settle into ourselves, and then we start hyping up, you know, getting a lot of oxygen into us, and then the spaciousness. So yeah, it's all about coming into your power, really, I think, and also softening as well. A lot of that. So yeah, something like that. Anyway, of course, it's a personal thing anyway, isn't it? You know, your journey is going to be personal to you, but that's something like what it's about. Yeah.
Just
coming back into yourself, experiencing coming home to yourself. Really, I think that's what I feel when I breathe. I'm coming home to myself. I'm taking time out to be with myself rather than all these thoughts up in my head. So yeah,
absolutely. And I think, you know, what a beautiful gift to give yourself, you know, where you're taking 50 minutes of quiet time, that you're disconnecting from the craziness outside of the door, outside of your body, perhaps, and just going inward and giving yourself that space and time to connect in and let your body, let your breath guide you on your own perfect journey. Because I mean, this guided journey may be designed to take you on a particular direction, you know, in a particular flow, but you're going to go wherever is perfect for you.
Absolutely.
And so it's again allowing yourself to connect in with your own flow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Jenny says, yes, thank you so much. Realizing I want to get right with my fire after releasing so much inflammation of body and mind. Absolutely. Yeah. So just balancing the element of fire within your body. You know, it may be that the element of fire in your body is directed in one area, maybe inflamed joints, and it's kind of like missing from your feet, you know, because it's just collected in one area. So letting it kind of spread out and balance out within your body so that it's not intensely in one place, and it's aligned and harmonized within you. Okay, so thank you so much, Kari.
Well, thank you.
Switch your video on for us to say goodbye.
Okay.
See your lovely face once again.
Oh, I've just switched it off again. There I am.
There we go.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for connecting in. We did joke at the beginning of the session when the internet was choppy. I could speak with somebody in Canada and the connection.
I know.
I'm speaking to someone a few miles down the road in England, and it's
I know.
It's really choppy. Never mind.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and it's perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you again for joining me. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your experience with breath work, but also thank you so much for your free gift, the Journey of the Heart. I do recommend,
you're very welcome.
As long as you haven't got the contraindications that state, you know, not to do the conscious breath, then, you know, please access the free gift and take yourself on your own inner journey. But if you do, as Kari has said, you know, just doing that simple breath work, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you can also use the journey as a meditative space. Just be aware of your breath. You know, you don't have to do the conscious connected breath, but be aware of your breath as you journey with the music.
Absolutely. And let your breath, let your body, let your consciousness take you wherever.
Absolutely.
Wherever you're meant to go.
Absolutely.
This is the final conversation of this season of the summit. Thank you, everybody, for joining live on this call and any of the other calls you were able to make it. It's you that I do this for. It's you guys that bring your energy and make this a special sacred container for me and the other speakers, as well as the other audience. Each of your questions, you know, might not resonate with everybody, but I'm sure the energy is shared. And other people can connect in, even if it's a very personal aspect and issue that you're bringing to the table. And in particular with this conversation, becoming conscious, becoming grateful, and opening your hearts, and allowing yourself to go there and kind of, you know, surrender into whatever pain, whatever trauma, and allow yourself to come out of the other side. And I'm being shown a beautiful rainbow, so it's as if you're crossing a rainbow bridge to the other side. So thank you, everybody, for joining me for season 7. I am going to be working on putting the speakers together for season 8. If you feel divinely guided to suggest anybody that you would like for me to connect with for season 8, please feel free to pop their names on an email to me, or in the group Facebook page. And yeah, I will let Spirit guide me as to who feels aligned to connect with. Until next time, wishing you all so much love from my heart to yours. I will be closing the container of space down that I hold open, and I hold the frequency of love for during the summit at the end of the weekend. So the replays will all be on YouTube for you to dip into and access if you weren't able to catch the live calls. And of course, as always, the audio only will be going out on the replay email as soon as I've uploaded it. So take care, everybody. Thank you again, Kari, for joining us.
You're very welcome. Pleasure. Thank you.
I will say goodbye to everybody, but when I close the webinar down, it closes it down for everyone. So goodbye, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks so much. Love.